This is the Sewing Circle podcast presented by Hanky Code. I'm Rebecca Vanderkoy, here to introduce to you up-and-coming queer artists and the powerful stories behind their work. Today, I am so excited to introduce you all to the immensely talented drag artist, Citrine Cash Collins. In addition to being an exceptional drag artist, they also interviewed numerous drag artists to be featured as Q&As in our Fashion and Drag Edition magazine. So definitely check that out. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
We're really excited to have you. So I'm curious, kind of kicking this off, what first drew you to drag?
It's kind of been like a long journey. I feel like I've been like prepping it my entire life. And it was the pandemic and RuPaul, I was watching Drag Race and RuPaul like there was a judging panel where she said something to the effect of like the world is crazy. If you're gonna do it, now's the time to do it. And for some reason, it just like crystallized to me that I was like, okay, yeah, like let's do it. So I've worked as a stylist. I've worked as a fashion editor. I have a degree in fashion design, so a lot of my like background is in that. So I kind of already like had the tools professionally to bring the vision together. So I just started and hit the ground running.
That's amazing. So kind of speaking to your fashion design background, it definitely shows in your work. I mean, I feel like your style is so exceptional. And I'm wondering, do you have any looks that you're like especially most proud of?
All of them because they're all like so iconic. Truthfully, I love to dress in color. Like you obviously have probably seen that. For me, it's like a very spiritual, it's kind of like I'm casting a spell all the time. So it's the color I choose is always really based on like a mood. So I have like fond feelings for all of them. I would say like a favorite would be I started doing like original prints at one point. My name has cash in it, so I sort of play on like the humor of money and capital. And I think some people see my drag and it's really like glamorous, so they assume that it's just like about opulence and that. But for me, it's kind of like subverting the idea of currency and money. And I think there's abundance available for all of us, whether that's like paper currency or not. So I started doing, I have like stacks of cash. There's one actually behind me that's signed by
Oh,
Social
I love
Velour.
it.
And so I started printing them to match my outfits because I wanted like stacks of $10,000 to just like have in my purse. But I started taking those prints and turning them into, I have merch, which are like towels, but I have a few pieces. I have like a neoprene shell blazer that I'm obsessed with. It's the green money print. So it's like deconstructed. And I love working with neoprene because it's a generally cheap fabric that doesn't get like all the love, but it holds structure really well, and the edges
Yeah.
you don't have to finish. So I think it's like just really fun to play with that like athletics utility fabric in a glamorous way. So I have that blazer that I love, and then I started doing it in like silk and chiffon. So I think like the original prints are probably the most exciting for me.
No, that's really cool. So, what is your creative process like when you're first starting to like design an outfit or a piece?
It's kind of like I'm kind of method with my drag, so I will like hone in on a color or a mood or an energy I'm trying to like transmute or convey, and then I will start wearing that out of drag. So I'll wear like all orange for like a week, 2 weeks, a month straight, and I'll start eating food in that color. I'll start like buying candy in that color. So I just sort of try to become the like the shade or the color I'm chasing. And then sometimes it'll start with like a mood board. I love to sort of like pull references. I think a lot of queens don't necessarily have their like reference library when they're younger. So I think like through honing your reference library and knowing what you gravitate towards and sort of dissecting that is really helpful. So sometimes I'll start with a mood board. Sometimes I'll just sketch. Sometimes I'll just go to the fabric store and find the fabric that like speaks to me. They all kind of work. Sometimes I
Yeah.
think maybe the fabric is the strongest because like when you're touching the fabric and you're just like pushing it through the machine, it's a very like meditative process. So I love
Okay,
getting into
yeah.
sort of like that zone.
No, that's really
And
creative.
then a deadline helps. So
Oh,
like
I'm sure.
I have a day job, so like knowing I have an event or a photo shoot or something is really helpful because then I'm like working against the clock and that sometimes like motivates me as well. And then yeah. a lot of my looks I will also like revisit. So if I like start it and I don't
Okay.
get it as far as I like the first time I wear it, I'll go back when I rewear it and add embellishment or jewels or new accessories or gloves. So for me, it's like creating things that I can keep and wear over and over again forever.
Okay, yeah, that's really cool. I feel like it's such a unique creative process, especially in terms of like wearing the same color or like really leaning into that, which I think is really cool. So, speaking to deadlines, you've been a part of a lot of cool shoots and wide variety of projects over your career so far. And are there any that like especially stand out to you as something that you were like really excited about or really proud of or anything like that?
They're all really fabulous. My drag mother, Miss Lady, does a lot of the shoots. She leads a lot of the concepts, so I really support her in doing like the production of it. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what was the biggest one. We did a school shoot. It was called Class of 24, and we did it at the High School of Art and Design in New York City. So that was fun.
Oh,
We had
cool.
like done a lot of studio stuff previously, so searching for that location, meeting with like the principal of the school, and just sort of getting again like very method with it. And everyone got to like pick their character. And I think that one was just really, it was the biggest cast. I think it was like 150 drag artists and New York personalities. Um, that one was like the biggest cast. And then also I found it was like the most healing in a way because, I went to an arts high school, so for me, I was like coming home to that. But
Yeah.
not everyone had a great high school experience, especially when you're queer. So getting to go back and like decide if you wanted to be the jock or the prom queen, or I was the vice principal. So like even
Oh,
just
I love it.
that is so fun and getting to play
Yeah.
with that, everyone just like had a really good time. So that one's probably my one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a really amazing project. Um, I guess sort of switching gears slightly, I'm curious, what do you enjoy most about like performing for people?
Hmm. I think it's like the ability to take them on a journey almost and
Yeah.
sort of like hold their hand and be like, all right, like you're with me. I'm taking the lead for like a few minutes or however long it is. I also kind of approach drag as a whole as the performance. So for me, it's like there's the stage element, but there's also everything else that goes into like the lore, I guess you could say. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just sort of like embodying it and getting to let the diva take over, like going on that
Oh
journey and
yeah.
then like getting to like, you know, connect with people through the art.
Yeah, I think the connection aspect is something that's like so important and necessary always, but like especially now, I think it's a really good thing.
It's so
Um,
essential now.
Absolutely. Which kind of speaking to that, like in today's current political landscape, what does being loudly and openly queer mean to you personally?
I think it's like through the fear and whatever adversity is going to be like pushed against us, just like doing it anyway. And
Yeah.
finding the ways to do it that you can do it safely when it's appropriate. Depending where you are in the country right now, it's not as easy to be open as it is in New York City and
Yeah.
larger cities. So I think figuring out how to kind of like rebel in whatever way you can. And like it could be so small, but like it still is like that moment for you, even if it's like not being a drag queen on a stage or, whatever. There's still ways to sort of push back against everything that's going on.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you. So, kind of, I guess, keeping in the tune of advice and kind of how you're approaching things, what advice would you give to someone if they wanted to start drag?
I would say go inward first instead of going outward. We live in a world where I work in social media as my day job. So we live in a world where we're constantly consuming stuff and consuming ideas and concepts, which is great, I think, for like the larger conversation and to move us forward. But sometimes I think it can get confusing if you're watching what other people are doing too much. Like it's good to sort of be
Yeah,
aware of like the community and everyone's in their own lane. But I think it's really important to like go inward at first and sort of listen and think like, what is the story I want to tell? What is unique to me? And be okay with pivoting. Like if you're going out and expecting to be like one thing and it's not working, like pivot until you find what feels like a groove. Like it should be a flow at the end of the day. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, just like listening to yourself and knowing like what your North Star is. So it's like, whatever that is for you, whatever like lights you up. So for some people, it's like the makeup element. For me, it's the fashion. For some, it's the performance. Just like lean into the part that you find the most enjoyable, and the other parts will kind of like fall into place through practice.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's really good advice. And also a lot of that I feel like applies to any creative pursuit. Like there, especially with social media and just there being so much out there, I think there's something to be said for like taking a moment and really evaluating like who you are and what you want before just like looking at what other people are doing and kind of following that.
I agree. I'm kind of at a turning point too. Like I have done like a mood board and a concept like every month for like the first half of this year. I basically like went through like the shades of the
Oh, cool.
rainbow backwards, and I like got to the end and then I'm like, now what? So instead of like opening up, I use Cosmos to like pull references. So if you're a creative and you need like good references, Cosmos is a great site. Um, I like open it up and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do right now. So I'm just like kind of listening to what speaks to me and
Yeah.
watching performances and just sort of like enjoying the time of like marinating and thinking about like what the next chapter looks like.
Yeah. I feel like also that in and of itself can be such a good thing. Like I think it can there can be a rush to like, oh, I have to get to the next thing. But if you can like sit in a place of like, I'm just gonna like see what comes next, that can be a good thing too.
It's really liberating too. We're like in such an output focused society. I don't think it's necessarily like the greatest for artists and creatives. You need to take time to do nothing, to
Yeah.
rest, to go into nature or wherever it is you like find peace and just like live. And then the inspiration will come to you when it's supposed to.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, who do you draw inspiration from? Whether it's other people or maybe even other things. I'm just kind of curious where you're kind of pulling from.
My drag, like overarching femininity, I was like raised in a house with a single mother and a twin sister. So femininity was always very like present in my upbringing. I have amazing aunts. Um, so that was sort of like the benchmark. And then just like absorbing like pop culture. I'm an 80s, late 80s baby. So like Dynasty, Joan Collins, which is like where my last name comes from, like that sort of like touch point is like super inspirational to me. But just like divas in general and watching like sort of how they package themselves and manufacture their like self-image and celebrity through the decades. Fashion wise, it's like a mix of McQueen, Bob Mackie, um, Guesquier era Balenciaga, and then I would say like nature is a huge inspiration point for me, especially with like colors. It's like what
Yeah,
presents itself naturally in the natural world. And sometimes it's like people think nature is a lot more like muted and subdued, but it's so bright if you really look at it.
it is. Yeah,
So I look at a lot of like animals, like if I'm doing something that's like blue, I'm maybe looking at like the element of air and a specific crystal, like kyanite that's blue, and then I'm like looking at a bird and a specific type of bird, and I'm like studying like how they chirp and like why they chirp at a certain time of day. So that's sort of like it's very like I like go really deep with the
that's
research.
really cool. Yeah, I love
Um,
it.
so yeah, like nature, food, just like hospitality, like going out to like a good dinner with a friend is really like part of the process too. Yeah, everywhere. If you look around, I think it's like Grace Coddington, there's a documentary on Vogue, the September issue, and I think she like says something to the effect of like she never sleeps in the car or on trains or something because she's always observing. She thinks if you like just look and observe, you'll find sort of like cues and inspiration
Oh, absolutely.
and
I
different like
definitely agree with that.
puzzle
Yeah.
pieces that you can like pull together and like make it your own.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think for like anything creative, I think such a key facet of like being a creative person in any way is just like observing the world around you, wherever and whatever that world is for you.
Because it is really everywhere, especially in New York City. I
Yeah.
mean, truthfully everywhere. It's like branding. It's the way that like trash falls sometimes on the street. Like it's all out there. You just gotta
Yeah.
like keep your eyes peeled.
Exactly. So you were talking a little bit about the like Backwards Rainbow project that's wrapping up. And I'm wondering, is there anything new and exciting on the horizon for you that you wanted to talk about?
I'm really excited for the next issue of Hanky Code, where I interviewed 11 drag queens on their process and sort of their favorite looks. Um,
We're excited
what
too.
else? I don't really know yet. I think I'm getting more into sort of being more forward facing. For me, like fashion is like the package has been such a big part of this like first 3 years of my drag. So I think now I'm focusing on like the storytelling aspect. I
Yeah.
kind of want to get into more multimedia production. I've done a
Ooh.
lot of photos. I'm really into video now, so I'm thinking of like how can I take what I've done with like all of the photo shoots I do for myself and sort of like amplify that and make that more either cinematic or music videos or something like that. So I think that's kind of like what's percolating right now.
Yeah, that sounds
But
exciting.
I also like to keep things very close to my chest until they're like out.
Yeah, I think that's also a good place to be too.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate one, you're taking the time to join me, but also I'm super excited for everyone to read that Q&A or the many Q&As really that you have coming out because they're fantastic and I know that everyone who listens to this and everyone who reads our stuff is going to be really excited about it.
It's a really great feature, a part of a really great issue. So everyone should pick it up, read it, share it, spread it all over the internet.
I agree. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.